Welcome to the Thanksgiving edition of Miami Dolphins in Depth. I am your host, Omar Kelly. Joining me is Miami Herald beat writer Isaiah Smalls. Isaiah, I'm going to say this to you. The Dolphins, which have won 3 of their last 4 games, are in the hunt. Your reaction to that is what?
I'm not surprised considering the losses that have kind of happened around the league, right? Like the Chiefs are at 6-6, right? The Ravens are what, like about there too. I can't remember the record off the top of my head. I know that they lost again last night. So you look around the league, survey it, the teams that people thought were going to be good. Obviously, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, like they've seemingly taken a step back record-wise. And, it seems like the Colts, the Patriots are kind of back on top. It's like early 2010s, late 2000s up in this piece. So it's like, let's ride it out, and we'll see what. I know Daniel Jones has a fractured tibula or fibula, excuse me.
And they said that he's going to play on.
He's playing on Sunday. So,
yeah. And the Patriots just lost their starting left tackle.
Yes, Will Campbell was put on IR. Yep.
These are the things that happened in December. However, the Dolphins just so happen to be the healthiest that they've been in quite a while. Austin Jackson, the starting right tackle, is on his way back. He's expected to start in Sunday's game against the New Orleans Saints. And surprisingly, Darren Waller, the starting tight end for the Miami Dolphins, player who's played maybe 3 games and has had a significant impact in those 3 games, contributing, what has he got, 4 touchdowns. He's been activated. He's practiced all week. And I asked Mike McDaniel, would you be willing to play him despite the fact that he hasn't practiced for a full week? And he kind of said yes, even though it bucks the trend of Mike McDaniel never plays a player in the first week of their return. Darren Waller's different because he's absolutely a unique individual. I was watching him today in practice, and Isaiah, I don't think I've ever been able to size up Darren Waller next to all of his teammates. He makes Julian Hill look small.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big guy. He's definitely a big guy. I'm curious.
I'm surprised how good he can move compared. It's hard to stack them up, but when you stack them up next to the tight end, he's like towering over Julian Hill. I didn't know that.
How well was he moving? How did the footwork look? How did it all?
He looked good. He looked good. He looked like he's ready. I don't know if they'll do contact work, but I don't think that's really his role. He'll come into the situation and become the third weapon for Tua Tagovailoa, who absolutely desperately needs some more weapons. So it'll be interesting to see if he is indeed active, but he's coming back from the pectoral injury. Austin Jackson is coming back from the right, broken right toe and the big toe. He re-aggravated it in the season opener and has been shelved for 9 weeks. And now the question is he going to be returning and is he going to be healthy? Austin, it's quite interesting that every time Austin has come back from an injury, he's always suffered a setback. Now, this is his second comeback from this injury, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays. What are your expectations for Austin Jackson and the offensive line when he does return?
I mean, I think it will. Well, let's take a step back. First of all, Larry Borom has been serviceable, right? Like it hasn't been as bad as we had previously thought it would be, right? Now, whether that
progressively got better, it wasn't good early.
Yeah, well, whether that is also a product of we're seeing what Jonah and Cole Strange are doing, and it's like, or is it, we don't know. But regardless of the situation, Larry Borom has looked okay as of late, right? So I think. Obviously, AJ is a good player. We've seen what he has done in the previous years, particularly in the run. But it should be, I think there will be some growing pains. Obviously, offensive line is a lot about chemistry. He has not played since week 1. Here we are in week 13. So it's like to anyone that says, oh, my God, it's going to be a perfect seamless fit, you're tripping. Like that's just not the reality of the situation.
With this offensive line for all of, I think, 2 weeks.
Exactly. So it will take
three now. Three.
It will take some time to. Well, he came back.
Madrid this week. 1 week of training camp, and then 1 week for the regular season.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So, I mean, look, and the toe is something that's a little bit difficult too, because it's not like you can seriously stay in shape with a broken toe, right? Because you got to be able to run, you got to be able to do certain things. Look, I think it remains to be seen. I think this game is kind of I mean, depends how you look at it, right? You can on the surface you can be like, oh, it's the Saints. This is the perfect game to come back. You dig a little bit deeper, you see Cam Jordan's on that team, right? They have a Demario Davis, right? So how like I'm a fan of Justin Reed and Kool-Aid McKinstry on the back end. So and as I wrote in my story today, like I don't think that this is a team that you can overlook, right? Because of the defense and the pieces that they have, right? I just did a little bit of digging. They're 9th in pass defense. They're 10th in I believe it was red zone defense.
Yes.
No. Third down defense. They're 10th in red zone defense. They're 21st in red zone or 22nd in red zone. They're 10th in third down, and they're 9th against the pass, right? So they're straight, obviously. Like they just don't necessarily have the offensive talent that is necessary to complement a defense that has some pieces, right? So to answer your question, how will Austin Jackson look back? I don't think it'll be amazing from day one. I think we'll have to grow a little bit. Maybe week 2 it'll look a little bit better, and then 3 and 4 and so forth it'll get better over time. But to say that after what you just totaled up 4 weeks of total football readiness, right, of training with this team, is he going to be 100% conditioned, 100% ready to go? I'm sure from a health standpoint, maybe, but like I don't conditioning. I think that's you'd be remiss to say that he's 100% in great shape. I just don't think that that's realistic.
Yeah, let's go over a little bit about the injury report. Alvin Kamara is going to be out because of a knee and an ankle injury, so that means they're going to have one of their backup running backs. Interestingly enough, Devin Neal. He is going to play, but he's got an ankle injury that limited him earlier this week. And Chris Olave, who has a back injury, he's been limited this week, but he is questionable for the game. They definitely need Chris Olave because I don't know if you would be able to name another wide receiver on the New Orleans Saints team after a couple of trades and the recent release of Brandon Cook. And then from the Dolphins standpoint, Rasul Douglas is coming back from his foot and ankle injury. He's been the Dolphins' top cornerback. We've got a Benito Jones is questionable because of an ankle injury. And then we also know that Austin Jackson and Darren Waller's issues, and they are both listed as questionable, but they're expected to play. Everybody else participated in a full practice. That includes Jalen Waddle, who has been nursing a foot injury. Here's the thing about this Dolphins team. I don't think you could look at anybody on your schedule and think that this is an easy game for the Miami Dolphins, just because last I checked, the Cleveland Browns whooped up on you. And that wasn't even the Shedeur Sanders-led Cleveland Browns. They whooped up on you pretty big. Carolina Panthers, when they were allegedly bad, they beat you. They didn't whoop up on you. They beat you. I'm not so certain that this Dolphins team can afford to take their foot off the gas in terms of the focus, the effort, the intensity. And what I found interesting was today after practice, those days where there are a lot of people on the practice field doing extra work, doing extra routes, doing extra blocking assignments, working with their coaches. That was the case today for about 20 players. And I was like, oh, okay. Y'all are locked in. All right. Okay. I appreciate that. I respect that. Now, maybe a lot of people were making up some work that they didn't do yesterday because it was Thanksgiving. Probably they had a little too much pumpkin pie, a little bit sweet. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
Mac and cheese and collard greens. I'm basic, especially the collard greens because I did not have that on Thanksgiving yesterday. So,
See, you can't eat everybody collard greens. That's just like you can't.
I feel you. I feel you. You can't eat everybody's collard greens. You can't eat everybody's mac and cheese. I ain't gonna lie. I was at a house yesterday. I looked at the mac and cheese,
and you said no.
It looked questionable. I had it. It was better than I expected. It was pretty solid actually. But it's not, my grandma's, my mom's, anybody with this skin color's mac and cheese. Well, this skin color and African American specifically, because I'm of the belief. No offense, I don't think Jamaicans can make mac and cheese.
Oh, we cannot. We cannot.
Okay, cool. Okay.
No disrespect. Don't disrespect received. We
Yeah, no,
cannot make mac and
yeah.
cheese. That is
All
just not. That's not in our
right.
wheelhouse.
Okay.
Now we can make some steamed cabbage and rice
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
oh yeah, we kill that.
Oh yeah. Y'all got that. Y'all got
Yeah,
that. I would
yeah.
have loved to have. Did you have oxtail yesterday at your?
No. So,
Yeah,
but that is a very good Jamaican Thanksgiving. Some
that is
oxtail,
it.
some curry
Yeah.
goat. But yes, um, getting back to this team, this Dolphins team, how much of a difference do you think Darren Waller can make for the Dolphins offense if he does return and does come onto the field in these third down situations, the Darren Waller package?
Before we get there, I just want to kind of touch on something you just mentioned about how the Dolphins can't really afford to overlook anybody else, which is what I did my Sunday story on. Look, from McDaniel to Tua to Alec Ingold, everybody basically said a version of that, right? Because on one hand, the Dolphins have been the team that has been overlooked, right? If we can talk specifically about the Bills and the Falcons. Those are two teams that I believe 100% overlooked the Dolphins. And what happened? They got 30 ball put on their head, right? So that's one side of it. But the other side of it is, look, as Alec Ingold said, we're 4-7, right? Like they haven't been, that they're right there essentially at 2-9. They're obviously 2 games better, but a ball bounces a different way, you're 2-9, right? So to kind of just put a bow on that, like you can't really afford to overlook anybody in this when you're in this position, because at the end of the day, like you are this recent bid of being, quote unquote, in the hunt, right? That can go away with one loss, right?
Absolutely,
Like
it's gone. It's gone.
yeah, you're 4-7. Like you looked at all the other teams in the hunt because it was like 5-5. 6-6, like a bunch of 500 and then 4-7. But it's
I
like,
don't even know why they put the Dolphins in the graphic. I mean, I'm no disrespect to Dolphin fans and the team. Like, I was talking to Rasul Douglas, and I was like, do you guys feel good about being in the hunt? He was like, in the hunt for what? He's like, like a whole lot of season got to be played. Like, holler at me later. Like, and I agree with you. Why are they in the hunt? Like, let's check back. If they haven't lost a game by December 15th, okay, put them in the graphic. You know what I'm saying?
Look, I agree. You got to get to at least 500 to be in the hunt, as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah, it's not like they're gonna win the AFC East or anything like that. But no disrespect. But they are playing a different brand of football, different
that is
kind
true.
of ball.
That is true.
They are kind of locked in right now. The heavy package has really unearthed their offense, allowed them to run the ball effectively, allowed them to protect Tua Tagovailoa consistently. Now the question is, does Tua get more than 2 weapons?
Yeah, and to answer that question, I think yes, Dan Waller, when he's on the field with his body of work, defense are going to change slightly, right? It gives to a huge, especially big red zone threat, right? Like, I mean, the guy's built like an NBA forward or NBA shooting guard at the very least, right? So he can get up there, can make plays in the red zone. So, yeah, I think it will be better, right? Because, I mean, at this point, they're relying solely on the Devon Achane show, right, on the ground, right? And then you're throwing the ball up to Waddle, and brings me to a point that I wrote about last week. Devon Achane is great, like top 5. There's an argument to me that he's a top 5 running back right now, right? But with anybody in the game of football, it's a game of attrition, right? So the question then becomes, how much which I'm a big fan of riding it till the wheels fall off. How much do you do that with a running back? Do you risk eventually an injury, right? And I'm not wishing that on anybody. I had Devon Achane on my fantasy team. The fantasy team that's going to the playoffs. I do not want to.
So you ride Devon Achane? You riding Devon Achane to the playoffs? Okay.
Hopefully, but we'll see. That sounded crazy, by the way, but we'll see. But I say that to say, the more weapons that you can give a quarterback, doesn't matter if you're young, old, doesn't matter. It will be better for the team. The question now is how many snaps, right? Are they giving him? What is the Darren Waller package? Where are they using it? Obviously, third down, red zones are the 2 biggest areas, right? But I'm looking forward to his return because it just gives him another added element. And I know from talking with the guy, and as you have as well, how much he sacrificed to kind of get back on that field this year, right? So for guys like that, you kind of have an extra like, okay, I hope you go out and do what you need to do. And then the Saints, with the way that the Saints are constructed right now, right? And that defense, which I think is, better than people give it credit for, you kind of want to beat a defense like that before you go and face a team like the the Jets next week before you have to go on the road and face a team like the Steelers, right? Because I think when you have defenses that, as Tua said, that have a bunch of veterans on it, they're connected, right? It's kind of certain level of like I can do something and not even have to verbalize it, and you will understand and make your reaction based on what I do, right? And so the defense has that, right? And so when you facing a defense like that, very veteran, very sound, you want to be on your P's and Q's, because if not, and you allow them to dictate the rest of the game, that controlled chaos that defenses sometimes want to replicate, it can get scary for you.
Yeah. Just to give you a kind of synopsis, their defensive line features, Jordan Cameron, obviously, is still a force. Chase Young.
Cam Jordan. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Chase Young.
Cam Jordan. Chase Young, Devon Godchow, who you're familiar with here. The biggest concern I have is their secondary, which I believe they have like 100. They've got one of the passer ratings over 100. Do you think that this is a game that Tua can have success in from a pass game standpoint?
I mean, you can. I think it's possible, but again, as I just said, they're ninth against the pass. Like you're right. Like it's easy in theory to attack a Kool-Aid McKinstry, right? But he leads the team in interceptions, right? So if you throw anything super crazy, he might pick it up, right? Justin Reed is 2-time Super Bowl champion back there on the back end, right? Like that is a guy who has been. I know we don't 100% agree with Pro Football Focus, but he's been a top 15 safety in the league, right? To me, I am cautious because I just don't want this team to overlook the Saints, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that you don't want to, as the great Chris Perkins said earlier this week, you don't want the team to focus on the logo or the name plate, right? You want to focus on the team itself and how they perform as a collective sum of all their parts, right? And then, I mean, offensively, look, not having Alvin Kamara is definitely a great opportunity for the Dolphins defense, right? That is somebody that can, similar to Achane, a guy that can kind of do it all, right? Obviously, he's on the back end of his career, but we're very familiar with what he's done. But you a quarterback like what you don't want to happen is to have a quarterback like Tyler Show use you guys as a stepping stool to the rest of his career, right? As a guy who's still young, still trying to. Well, he's not really young. He's not young because he's like my age. Yeah, he's kind of old. But you don't want him to get comfortable, right? And I think that, to me, I was answering some questions from fans on Twitter today. What I think is the biggest thing. Someone asked me what's the biggest advantage that they have, and I said defense. Like I think that they're in the opportunity to really disguise some coverages to this quarterback, speed him up, right, and make him make bad throws. And if he makes bad throws, you got to take advantage of those, right? And I think anytime you play a rookie quarterback, that's the formula, and especially someone that's not as mobile as a Josh Allen, as a Lamar Jackson, or as some of these other guys that they face or eventually will face, right? Because they got Baker Mayfield and again Drake May. You keep him in that pocket. You got to get there. You got to get there, and you got to make some stuff happen. He's not going to really beat you with his legs. So then, okay, if he's going to stand like a statue like there all day, then you got to hit him. And the Dolphins did a great job with that. Against Josh Allen, not so much against Marcus Mariota, and they got to figure out if they can do it again against Tyler Shaw.
Yeah,
Shaw.
Shaw.
Is that his name? Shaw. I don't think it's Shaw. I think I'm not trying to disrespect you, bro. I just Shaw. I think it's Shaw. Something like that. There you go. I'm sorry.
Here's my question for you. We have seen the Jalen Phillips trade. It's kind of a couple weeks old. But yet we've only had Cameron Wake starting one game. Now, defensive coordinator.
Wait.
Chop Robinson. Yes, my
Chop
bad.
Robinson. I was about to say.
Yeah. Cam Wake, Cam Smith. No, it's Chop Robinson. Yeah. We've only seen Chop Robinson start one game. Anthony Weaver said if Washington had started in a passing package and not a big guy package, it would have been Cam out there on the field. He's a package-based player, Chop out there on the field. I don't know why I'm calling him Cam Wake.
I don't know either.
Yeah, they're not even anything close. Do you believe that Chop Robinson can give you productivity if you give him 35 snaps?
Yes, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes. I think obviously with Chop, as of right now, you got to take the good with the bad, right? Because he is a young player, right? And I think the only way to see what you have is to let the young players, grow through their mistakes. That's what we've seen on the defensive line. And I think that's why they're playing better now, because they're allowed to grow through their mistakes. I don't want to get in a situation where now Chop has lost his confidence, right? And McDaniel has said, to his credit, that he doesn't believe that's happened. He just believes that Chop is just hitting the ground even harder, because Chop, he wants to be great, as does any young player, right? But look, I think he's gotten better at setting the edge in the run. Like I've seen it on tape. He's gotten better. He's gotten better at it. He's gotten better.
All right.
But there'll still be a play game where they might run to his side, and there might be a bigger game. But I think this just happens with muscle memory.
I want to see a productive offensive line with a good back, run it, Chop, and then I can say he's gotten better.
But what's the team that down on this schedule? What the Bucks with Tristan Wirfs? Like, I mean, that's going to be, to me, that'll be the test. Like, that might be the best tackle in football outside of Penei Sewell.
Yeah. I mean, and he went up against Tristan Wirfs in training camp. So,
last year. And he said he was a great experience because he learned from it. Now, again, this is a time where you have to put that to the test. But again, we're looking ahead to the schedule. The Saints are there right now. And against the Saints, I don't, especially Devin Neal, who I actually like coming out of college. He had one of the best games I've seen. I think it was against Kansas State, I believe. Well, he had like 200 yards in the game. Anytime you're running back and do that is special to me. But
I think he was a Kansas kid.
Yeah, he definitely came from Kansas. But I think the 200-yard game I'm thinking of came against Kansas State. Yeah. But he's definitely has some talent. Why not? Because I couldn't tell you one offensive lineman that they have. Let me look up their depth chart real quick. But I can't tell you someone of
Kelvin Banks, the left tackle. They've got Cesar Ruiz, the right guard, and a rookie Fawanga. Can't remember if I like Fawanga. And I think he's a rookie. Oregon State. Yes, I did like him. I think he went into the first round. Yes.
He won the first round win. What? This was
14 in 2024.
And last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table. I hear what you say in terms of they can't overlook any opponent, but here's the thing. Everybody looking at the Miami Dolphins on their schedule should be like, yeah, we could get that one. So you are also that target that everybody's looking at and saying, hey,
I think keep going.
Hey, we could get that. You are the layup.
But there's power in that, right? I think because, and as McDaniel said, right, you've been the team that has been overlooked, right? So you have to be sound in your preparation to make sure that you are not doing that, because you've experienced the consequences on both sides, right? Of teams looking at you, licking their fingertips and have rolled over you. But then you've also been the team that's like, nah, you're not gonna do that to me. Like, let's push back. And what feeling at the end of the day do you like better? Because to me, I think the preparation is gonna be there. I think one thing that we've seen this year from this team is like when they are prepared and they want to, whatever. Like, again, the Bills game to me is a perfect example. Like they stomped the mud hole in the Bills, right? Now, of course, there's no transitive law of football, right? Like you can't expect, because they beat this team, they're going to beat this team. I don't believe in that. But at the same time, you showed me like that you can do that, right? Yeah. You can go out and overpower a team. Now I'm gonna need to see that week after week after week to believe that this is actually part of your identity. Because just like the cold narrative, and we're gonna be soon getting into that, right? Because it's about to be December, right?
I heard some people talking about saying to Jalen Waddle, you ain't who was he saying that to? Something like, you ain't never played in the cold game. And I was just like, why is that even relevant now? Like today in the locker room.
It's not relevant. It's not relevant right now, but it's gonna be relevant next week. It's gonna be relevant, I believe, the week after that, because I think they play the Steelers right after that.
Yeah, Steelers on the road. Yes.
So it's gonna be relevant. Again, you don't look past this opponent you got right now. But after that, it's definitely and like the point I was saying is, McDaniel loves to say it, that narrative will continue to exist till you defeat it, right? Until you can get it up out of here, it's going to continue. And that's the thing with this Dolphins team. and people asked me today on Twitter, like, do you think the Dolphins can run the table with everyone coming back? And I said, look, they have to defeat some narratives in the process. They have to prove that they can beat good teams. They have to prove that they can beat playoff teams. They have to prove that they can beat play in the cold. They have to prove that they can play a team that's just as hungry as them in the Bengals. The Bengals looked great last night. They looked okay. I didn't watch the game, I'm gonna be honest, but I saw the score at the end. 30. I'll be footballed out by that last game. I'm footballed out.
Yeah, pace yourself. Pace yourself.
No.
On that note, Isaiah, what is your prediction for Sunday's game against the Saints?
I'm gonna go 23-10 Dolphins.
I like that score. I'm actually going to go 24-14 Dolphins. I think that this is a game that the Dolphins start to get their mojo back. I think defense starts to tighten up, and Tua Tagovailoa shows you that consistent game that has been sort of the staple of his career up until this season. So we shall find out. On that note, we will be back Monday to recap what happened in the game and set up next week's AFC East showdown against the New York Jets. On that note, we are out.